Hello everyone, welcome to Red Chase channel. In this video, we'll look at the weekly updates regarding employment-based immigration. Uh, so that's what we'll look at in this video for the week of April 27th and May 2nd. So this is what we'll cover in this video. Basically, US's enhanced vetting, H1B Visa fraud crackdowns, and PERM processing times updates, and H1B Visa slots, and all sorts of things. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe for getting regular updates. So the first one is this is one of the biggest ones this week, right? So USCIS has launched a new FBI waiting platform on April 27th. So this is a big platform, essentially, like this is a huge one technically. What basically comes out of is coming from an executive order signed by the president, basically on national security related ones in 2026. So what they're asking is essentially all the pending cases with USCIS before April 27th will be revetted. So what USS officers have to do is they're going to resubmit whatever fingerprints they already have on file, so that they will use this new FBI vetting system and re-adjudicate all the applications. So again, they say that it won't be too long, the delay, but I guess this will definitely delay. And what are the cases that are impacted, right? Because USCIS handles a lot of cases. So the main ones that are impacted are green card adjustment of status. So this basically includes employment-based green cards as well, which is part of that, and citizenship applications and other things related to family-based green card, asylum applications, and advance parole. Right, all of these are will be affected because they have to redo this whole thing. But what will not be affected are basically anything that does not have biometric requirement, right? Usually H1Bs, L1s, H4 extensions, But nowadays we are seeing for EADs also, right? Some of them H4, H4 EADs, some of them get biometric, or rather most of them get it. So they also may be slightly impacted with this. But other than that, most of these, are the ones that are mainly impacted. So basically, this is what will. So if you're an applicant, there is nothing you need to do per se. It's more the USCIS processing time that will be impacted. So if you're waiting for a case, that could be the. But also the reason they're doing this is because there has been a lot of fraud in getting green cards, in the past. So they want to ensure that they will actually do this revetting so that this could result in some past. Basically green cards given as well to be revoked if, depending on that, right? So this is what some of them are saying. But again, if they're fraudulent, so if you're not part of that, so it should not be impacted. So that's the main big one around that. So again, there'll be more and more H1B related crackdowns for related to fraud happening. So back in earlier this year, right, in Texas, basically Attorney General, essentially Ken Paxton, initially they did something called the civil investigation demands. They're called CIDs. They were issued to like 3 firms. Now they expanded to 30. So what it means is that this is not essentially like filing a case against them, but they believe that all of these companies with something called ghost officers, right? So they're issuing civil investigative demands. What it essentially does is they're asking all these 30 companies, giving them like a subpoena, essentially give them all information. So they're trying to build up a case. This is pre-lawsuit or pre-thing. So the Attorney General is trying to investigate it and get all the documents. And then they will use all of this information to maybe then go to court or do whatever they want with it, right? So that's what it is. So essentially, they're trying to crack down on the immigration fraud that's happening. So that's what they're doing on that. And again, the second one is USCIS flags about 100 diversity and all of these programs which you had under DI roles. So if you look at this is something that was posted and submitted by Senator Eric Schmidt some time ago, and they basically were looking at all the cases. And again, now the current administration, is not very much DA friendly, so they've looked at all the titles that have any of them diversity, equity, inclusion, similar to this. And then they picked up over 100. So I guess they're going to implement some of these policies so that some of these H1B related positions related to DA may not be happening. So this is an internal one as well. So the second related to more H1B fraud and investigations that's happening. The other one is, there has been an update, on the PERM and, prevailing wage determination processing terms. So if you see, The perm, the regular perm unlisted review, which is nothing but, is actually taking 501 days. So this was updated as of April 23rd, right? So they usually occasionally keep updating once a month, intermittently here and there on the processing time. So as of April 23rd, right? So it's taking 501 days. So it's pretty significant. It's about 16 and a half months, for perms to be adjudicated, and other ones, for audit, it's about 343 days and other things as well, right? So the whole idea is that. It's taking a very long time if you're one of those persons trying to get a green card, going through the process. So this is one of the most painful process of waiting in the beginning phase. So this is where other things like EB1A and all of these things come in, where there is no need for a pump processing. So that's why there is a lot of push on other directions where people are pursuing the ones without the pump. But if you're going through the typical process, the delays are significant. So that's the update on the pump processing times, what we're seeing. The other one, what we have is regarding H1B and H4 visa slots. I mean, there've been no bulk visa slots available this week, right? So I've been intermittently here and there, some of slots appear, but no bulk slots. So people have been looking for slots, visa slots. This has been a problem. So the key message here is the travel advisory still is in place. Like if you're really like there is no emergency, do not try to come and get stuck. I've also seen some sad situations where somebody whose parents passed away and they couldn't come, and they applied even for an emergency appointment and they couldn't get approval. So there are scenarios where it can be very tough on some real need where you want to come but you still cannot come because you cannot go back because you can't get your stamping done. So there are some sad scenarios as well that we've been seeing in the forums. So again, if it's unless it's really emergency, do not try to come and because there are chances are you could get stuck if something doesn't work out in your favor. So what's ongoing is still we're in the June 30th time frame. The filing is happening, and for the visa bulletin, now there is a final action date. So this is of a big change that will be for the May. So I think so we're expecting some changes to be coming in. Maybe they made retrogression on that as well. So we'll have to see what will happen when the next one, the June visa bulletin gets released. There's no movement on the H1B Visa Abuse Act. Again, this bill is going to go nowhere. But again, we're just giving an update because this was the last week's. Big thing that was happening, right? Again, still 100K fees applicable. There is still social media vetting active, and we're in comment period for the proposed wage rule. So these are what is currently ongoing. We have no data on the H1B numbers released by USCIS. We're still waiting on those numbers. Maybe this will be later around June or on our time frame. So we'll have to wait and see. There's no data other than these that's available. So key summary takeaways from this week. There is a new enhanced FBA vetting platform that is now used by USCIS, and anything before April 27, they'll be re-adjudicated and there'll be delays for that. So expect if you're looking for a green card, adjustment of status, or kind of applications, there will be delays. Yeah. And it is not affecting anybody like H1Bs and all of that who do not require this particular thing. So that's one good part at least. And there in terms of fraud, there are some CIDs, basically notices issued to lot of companies to give this information so that they're building up a case on that. And again, US is also looking at policies around DA roles, so we can expect something on that. And the delays for PERM are about 16 and a half months, so it's pretty big. No H1B slots released this week, bulk slots rather, I would say. And other things, there is no changes on that Abuse Act that happened last week, right? So these are the key takeaways from this week. So thank you for watching. Do subscribe for getting regular updates.